I might have a solution for pollution, and it makes sense. Yeah, and it makes sense and it makes rhyme too. Solution for pollution. Well, how about forbidding all the trash, all the garbage we don't need? We don't need actually. So going from cigarettes, I don't care about smokers. I mean, smokers have a really serious problem. They should kick the habit forever, and ultimately, without discussing, without if or but. So they should kick the habit this very day. Single wrap candies, single use items, individually wrapped candies. Well, I'm talking about those things that pollute very much. Of course, it goes without saying that governments and businesses are in collusion, so there are two sides of the same coin, I think that even a person endowed by minimal intelligence should take this for granted and should grasp it. Because as simple as that, you do simple math, as much as 2 plus 2 is 4, you should understand that businesses, governments are two sides of the same coin. And consumers, so the average person, the average people in general, are very much part of all this mess, are very much responsible for all the mess we are surrounded by, including trash. If people toss garbage on the ground because they don't dispose of their garbage properly, that's because of impoliteness, that's because of the people, not the businesses, not the governments. If people want useless nonsense, if people spend their meager salary, the poorer they are, the more they spend in nonsense. Well, it is much like a formula. I don't know, I might be wrong if I'm not mistaken. It's quite accurate. The poorer you are, the more you spend your fucking poor salary into nonsense, because you want to brag about your apparent wealth. But this is appearance. You just care about appearance. The reality is quite different. The reality is outright different. You are miserable. You live in misery. You live in a fucking studio or a single room house. You pay rent. You don't even own it outright. But you want to brag about your. I mean, let's not digress, okay? Because I want this video to be quite short and concise. But just saying. So, scratch cards, people gambling, I mean, people playing lotto, what do? They're the most impolite. They will scratch their fucking card because gambling is a mental disease, as much as 2 plus 2 is 4. They will take the scratch card and tear it in confetti and toss it everywhere. And this is something you understand if you clean the roads. So as much as I do, I pick up trash in my neighborhood. Most people don't do that because they don't give a flying fuck. And that is the truth. I prefer thorny sad truths rather than relieving lies. Because believing in relieving lies serves no purpose. We should always seek the truth, whether it is happy or depressing. Like voting, I mean, they always have to remind us that we are a democracy, but what does democracy mean? I mean, it is a meaningless term, it is a meaningless word, democracy. What does that mean? Voting? Putting a cross in the blank space of the party you like? You want to govern? You want to govern the country? Well, that is not democracy, that is a farce. There's a charade. There is a way to dupe you into thinking you're free, but you're not. Because there are oligarchs, and we have plenty of oligarchs. I mean, in our country, I'm talking about my country, which is Western Europe, part of the European Union, okay? So it is a plutocracy, an oligarchy. There are oligarchs that, of course, are the puppeteers, and the puppeteers, of course, move the puppets. And politicians are puppets. You got a puppeteer, and you got puppets. Okay, so as simple as that. Pollution. Waterways are all polluted because of plastic and because of I mean, if you picked up trash like me, you would know it very well. The most discarded items you find along the path, along if you go in a park, it's along the path, along the sidewalk, along the curbside, are cigarette butts, chewing gums. They should be banned this very day, as much as cigarettes should be banned as well. Scratch cards, sale receipts, individually wrapped candies, papers, okay. And in general, smokers' garbage. I'm talking about lighters, rolling papers, filters, packs, of course. If we all forbade all this garbage, but how can we forbid it? I mean, people should say we don't want it anymore. As long as people like all this garbage and they want beautiful looking items, they want light items, colorful items, the packaging, etc. All this comes with a cost, which is pollution. All this has a huge price to pay, which is pollution. If we don't get rid of all this, if we don't get rid of all this garbage of single-use items, single-use gloves, disposable things, plastic cups, straws, etc., we will never get out of this problem. We will never get out of this problem. The problem will stay there. Not only the problem will stay there, not only will the problem stay there, it will escalate, it will intensify. Much like a tumor, much like a cancer, you're not treating with chemotherapy. If you don't follow chemotherapy, you can be sure 100% you're going to die because of cancer. Okay, and by bypassing the problem, you can be sure 100% you won't solve it. You can be sure 100% you won't solve it. So this is the truth. This is a thorny truth. This is a sad truth we need to face. It is not the businesses, it is not nor the governments, because, I mean, they are evil, they are corrupt, they are in collusion, they are greedy, etc. And the list goes on. Anything that crosses your mind. But who's to blame firstly? Who's to blame firstly? The people, the average person mindset is to blame. The average person that only minds their own business, materialistic people that minding their own business only, people that toss garbage on the ground without minding about the others. Walking on the same road, finding trash. People that generate too much trash, because who cares? But this comes with a price. This comes with a huge price, which is pollution. Don't complain if you go to the seaside and you see that the sand is full of plastic garbage. Well, that is the price of your selfishness. Well, that is the price of your selfishness of your mind your own business type of mindset mentality. Cigarette butts are fucking trash, of course. I know people with whom I've had arguments that claim that cigarette butts are in trash because where am I supposed to put it? Well, you can put it out on the bin. I mean, you don't have to put it in your pocket like a candy wrap, of course, because otherwise you end up burning your trousers. But you can at least put it out on. If you don't find a cigarette receptacle, you can put it out on the sidewalk and then toss it into a bin. Well, you can do that. No, they have plenty of excuses not to do so. I'm speechless. So it is the average person. The sticking point of all this lengthy video, well, almost 10 minutes, The second point, the main point of all this video, of all this lengthy video, is that the average person is to blame, that the real evil is the average person. And businesses and governments adapt because they are a mirror of society. They just mirror society. And I might have said that twice, and might have said that already in some of my previous videos. If you feel like watching them, I don't think so, but just in case you understand my take, you understand my point, it's quite simple. I mean, as I said before, even a stupid person should grasp it. A person that is endowed by minimal intelligence should understand it and agree with me 100%. However, there's something, I mean, that stops you from believing in that, because you're brainwashed, because you're probably your moral code isn't enough isn't enough noble to believe and agree with what I say. Well, you might be so mean, so impolite, so selfish not to believe in what I say, which is objective. I'm not talking about opinions. This is just the reality of this is the reality. Just take off those rainbow glasses and look at reality. Just take off those rainbow glasses and look at realities. I mean, if you don't do so, well, your life will be a series of delusions, of disappointments. Your life will be a series of disappointments. You'll be speechless most of the time, without understanding that you might be the cause for all the mess we are surrounded by. You might be the cause for all the mess we are surrounded by, because we take responsibility in what we do. I believe in free will. I've never stolen. I've never polluted. I've never littered on the ground. I've always disposed of my trash properly. I recycle, etc. So my behavior contributes positively, unlike the overwhelming majority of people's behavior. Because the overwhelming majority of people don't behave correctly, don't behave properly, behave untowardly. I mean, it is like they're living their life like there was no tomorrow. I mean, I cannot believe in this. Well, even countries, even the most civilized countries that I believe are Southern Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Slovenia, these are the best ones. These is where the real civilization lives. These are the best countries, but yet, even in these countries, there are problems. Problems are increasing. Blight, this kind of blight environment. I mean, it's taking place there too. Don't even get me started about Latin countries, Muslim countries, third world countries. Those are crap. I mean, no offense, but if you're not serious, if you're not a serious person, if you do things like that, so without concentrating, without putting effort into, if you're not honest, if you're corrupt, well, it might be. I mean, how about you're responsible for the problems too? How about you're responsible for the problems too? I mean, don't throw the blame on the others. You might be part of the problem too. Because if it was up to me, there wouldn't be all of this trash around. Nor on the floor, nor on the ground, because I've never polluted, I've never littered, nor in businesses. Businesses would not make all of this garbage that ends up in landfills and then eventually pollutes aquifers, waterways, or that ends up being incinerated. No, because if I don't want straws, because I drink like a normal person, not like like a person has been beaten and cannot chew because this person has been beaten and like sucking up on that fucking straw. Well, no, I'm a normal person. I don't need straws. Straws are for spoiled children. And there is plastic that ends up in waterways, that ends up in incinerators, and incinerators mean dioxide, deadly chemicals, injurious chemicals that we breathe in, or landfills. Because I'm not saying that they recycle all the trash we generate. I don't think so. Some of it ends up in landfills or incinerators. I mean, the average person is to blame if we are surrounded by problems over problems, and there is no solution, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. If there is no light at the end of the tunnel, that's because the people have decided there shouldn't be. Because power is will, so if you don't have willpower to change, well, the situation is doomed to worsen and worsen year by year. The situation is doomed to worsen, to get worse and worse day by day, year by year, until we get to the point of no return. And as soon as we get to the point of no return, we truly cannot go back. There is no going back. But even now, there is no going back. Don't even get me started about in 20 years. In 20 years, we will have already reached the point of no return. In that case, we will be doomed. Okay? And there will be fewer and fewer people that reason with their own mind. There will be more and more people that are brainwashed, serial consumerists, serial selfish people that don't give a flying fuck about their surroundings except their family, their house, not even their family, because nowadays children don't respect their parents. So a selfish animal that earns a meager salary and spends it into nonsense. And as I said before, I don't remember if I said it before already, the poorer you are, well, this looks like an equation. This looks like an equation. The poorer you are, the more likely you are to spend your miserable salary into nonsense, into things you don't need, and then you complain about the fact you're broke because you spend money into nonsense, into things you buy and then toss immediately in a span of 2 or 3 days. Well, human mindset is something I loathe and will never understand. Problems can only be attributed to the masses. The overwhelming majority of people are the main reason why we're fucked up. There is no... businesses, governments are two sides of the same coin. They're in collusion. They laugh, of course. They laugh at us, believing that we are all brainwashed, that we are miserable sheeps, following the leader, so in the flock, being part of the flock, following fashions, following trends, being serial consumerists. Well, it is not okay. It is not okay. And of course, people like me are a maverick. We are mavericks. And we are offended. We are considered outcasts because we are mavericks. Because we are dreary. We lecture people. But if we don't lecture people, how can the masses realize the mess they are in? How can the masses realize the mess they are in if we don't lecture them? If people that have understood the situation don't lecture them. If they don't, if they didn't, what I do, there wouldn't be a way out of all of this mess.